Welcome. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah. I'll go ahead with the share. We actually have to go back. There we are. We're almost at the end of this Parsha, and this year we will be doing the next Parsha right here as well. So we'll see how we do today and finish up this Parsha. So remember we were talking about the fact about the towns that were being captured here. We actually started that a little bit earlier on. Here we go. We talked about the children of Gad, and we're going to be talking about the children of Reuben and some of the children of Manasseh. These were the 2.5 tribes that wanted their land on the east side of the Jordan, right? So we had some of them. So here we've got Vayivnu Vnei Gad, and then it tells you the various towns that they were building. Right, so there we are. And then we've got, let me see if I have, make sure I've covered everything. Yeah, I don't know that we did the Rashi yesterday, but it mentions these places, and here's Lamed Vav, right, 36, Arei Mivtza V'Gidrotzon, right, fortified towns and pens for the sheep, right? Sheep pens. And he says, Zezof HaPasuk, this end of the verse, Musav al Tchilat Ha'inyan. It all hangs on what started the whole subject, which is Vayivnu Vnei Gad, that the children of God built et ha'arim ha'ela, these particular towns, liot arei mifsad, and they built them in order for them to become fortified towns and pens for the sheep. So, Uvnei Reuven. So now we're dealing with the children of Reuven. Banu, they built at Cheshbon, ve'et El Aleh, and these are again names of towns, ve'et Kiryatayim and Kiryatayim. And I think I'm going to look and see when. Here it is, right? So we have some more towns. Ve'et Nevo, Baal Ma'on, Musabot Shem. They changed the names of these particular towns. Ve'et Sivma, another town, Vayikra'u B'Shemot, and they renamed them. Et Shmot Ha'arim Hasher Banu, that is to say, the names of the towns which they, I would have to say, possibly either built or rebuilt. So let's take a look here. Ve'et Nevo ve'et Baal Ma'on Musabot Shem. So Rashi's commenting on what's the business of changing the names. Why? Nevo uval Ma'on, these towns of Nevo and Baal Ma'on, Shmot Avodat Elilim Hem. They are names of idols. Vahayu ha'Omoriyim, and the Amorites, Korim Arehem, they would name their towns Al Shem Avodat Elilim Shalahem. They would name their towns according to their idols. Uvnei Reuven, and so the children of Reuven, Hesevu or Hisbu, possibly, Etchmam, they changed their names, Lishmot Acherim, to different names, Vezehu Musabot Shem. And that's the meaning of this phrase, Musabot Shem, their names being changed. Nevo'u Uval Ma'on, that is to say, that the towns of Nevo or Baal Ma'on, Musabat L'Shem Acher, they were changed to other names. Ve'et Sivma, that's another town. Banu Sivma, they built or rebuilt the town of Sivma. And he says, Sfarim Acherim, there are certain manuscripts that instead of having it around, instead of the sin being in front of the bet is in front of the shin. So there are apparently other manuscript texts of the Torah, I'm going to say, which have bishma. So in other words, it would have now a meaning that instead of a town, they would say in according to its name, right? And possibly what the meaning is here is that when they rebuilt this town, that town they left as the same name, right? Bishma in its name. Vehi Shavam, and that's referring to the town of Shavam, Amura Lamala, which is mentioned above. Unless it's Savam, it could be Savam. I'd have to go back and see if I could find it. So I don't know if it's necessary for it to go for us to hunt for it right now. Okay. So here we go. All right. Let's see. Let's see. Yeah. Yeah. So it doesn't, right? The word shavam is not there, right? It's in this particular thing, and bishma, this is the word they're talking about. So exactly what the reference is, I'm not certain. So we've dealt with the Reubenites, and now we're dealing with the children of Manasseh, of part of the tribe of Manasseh. So we're mentioning which families of Manasseh we're talking about. It wasn't the entire tribe. So the children of Machir, the son of Manasseh, right, Gilada, they went to the area called Gilead, Vayilkaduha, and they captured it. Vayoresh heta Emori, and they dispossessed the Amorites, Asherba, who were dwelling there. See if there is. Here we go. Vayorish. So this word Vayorish from the word Yarash or Resh Yun Shin is the root. Okay. He says Ketargomo the Tarich. The word Tarich means to drive out or to divorce, right? So he says they drove them out. Shetevat Resh. So he says the root Resh or Yarash. Okay. Mishameshet Shtei Chalukot. It actually has two meanings. The same root has two different meanings. Lashon Yerusha. It can mean has the meaning of inheriting, right, possessing. Lashon Horasha, and it also has the meaning of dispossessing, right? Shehu Tirud v'Tiruch, which has the meaning of, remember, divorce or driving out and banishment. So a little grammatical comment there. Let's go on. Vayiten Moshe et Hagilad, and Moses appointed Gilead, Lemachir, to Machir ben Menashe, to Machir ben Menashe, Vayeshev ba, and he dwelt there. Vayair, I believe that's it there. Okay. Vayair ben Menashe, and Yair, son of Menashe, another family from the tribe of Menashe. Halach, he went, Vayilkod et Chavotehem. He went and he captured their villages, Vayikra et hen Chavot Yair, and he named them the villages of Yair. So again, Rashi has something to share with us in terms of a backstory. Chavotehem is kfar a kaf. Let me make sure. Kafranehem, Kafranehon. That would be the Targum in meaning their villages. Vayikra eten Chavot Yair. He named them the villages of Yair. Why? Lefisha lo hayu lo banim, because he himself had no sons. Karam bishmo lazikaron. So he named these towns by his name as a remembrance, so that he would be remembered. The Novach, another individual, Novach, Halach, he went Vayilkod et Kanat. He captured Kanat, ve'et benoteha, and its dependencies. So, or maybe it means its suburbs, right? It's larger areas. Vayikra la Novach b'shmo, and he called it also Novach. He called Kanat Novach in his name, naming it after himself. Let's take a look here before with Vayikra la Noach. Right, so Rashi's going to mention this word here, la. Normally, so there's a grammatical form called a mapik. a mapik, which is a little dot. Again, it just looks like a dagesh. Here's a dot, for example, right? And normally when we're talking about la meaning her, right, there is a dot which is called a mapik in the hay. So here it doesn't have it. The Masoretic text omits this dot here, and it's understood as intentional. It's not a scribal error. Okay, in fact, you see this little circle here is going to talk about that it's a Masoretic reference, and I believe it is maybe referring to it here. This could be the Masoretic reference, which of course is very difficult to read it. And I think it may say, ha hey Raphe is what it might say. Okay, so he's commenting on that, and he says, La, that is the word la, no mapik hey. It doesn't have the mapik in the hay. Vera'iti biyesodei shel Rabbi Moshe Hadashan. He said, I saw, again, remember we've had this work that Rashi references from time to time, right? In the foundations of Rabbi Moshe, the interpreter, lefi shelo nitkayem la shem zeh. Okay, it says because this name that he gave it didn't endure, lefichach hu rafeh, and for this reason it is a rafeh. It is without the mapik because it didn't. When he named it, it was not something permanent, so it wasn't her name in the ultimate sense. And going on, it says shemashmaut midrasho kamo lo, that because what he's saying, right, about this form of the la without the hay is as if it's saying lo with an aleph, meaning not, right? In other words, he wasn't able to successfully name it by his name, right? The Timhani, but he says, Rashi goes on to say, it's sort of this unusual moment in the Rashi where he shares his personal feelings about something, right? And he says, I'm puzzled, he says. Ma Yidrosh, how would Rabbi Moshe Hadashan interpret Bishtei Tevot Hadumot La, right? With two exactly similar letters that are found elsewhere. So Hadomot La, which are similar to it, to this particular word. In Ruth, in chapter 2, it says Vayomer La Boaz, which would mean Boaz said to her, and it should have in La to her. And again, it should have had the mapik in it, right? And it doesn't. It doesn't. So how do you interpret that as not? And another place in Zechariah chapter 5, where it says, Livnot la bayit, to build literally with the mapik, it would mean to build for her a house. And he says, how would you interpret those as meaning not, right? When it says Boaz said to her, does it mean he didn't really say to her, or he didn't mean to say to her, some kind of negative connotation? And when it says to build for her a house in Zechariah, does it mean not really? Not really? So Rashi is left puzzled as to how Rabbi Moshe Hadarshan would be able to interpret these two other examples of where la is without the mapik, which normally would mean to or for her. And at this point, I will stop the share, and we will, God willing, begin the Parsha of Mas'eh on next time we get together. So, any comments before I stop the recording? Okay.